Hello, welcome to my bookshelf, and today I wanted to show you all the books I've hauled so far this year. So let's get started. Okay, so the first book that I got so far this year is The Adventures... Oh gosh. Blah. Okay, so the first book that I hauled this year is The Adventures of Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey. And I basically just got this out of nostalgia. It was really cheap, in good condition, and I just remember thinking this book was hilarious as an elementary school kid. And there really isn't much else to say about that. Basically, these students hypnotize their mean old principal and turn them into their favorite superhero that they've made up, Captain Underpants, and he starts fighting crime, so to speak. It's pretty funny from elementary school standards. We'll see if it holds up. I haven't read it since all those years ago. So, Captain Underpants. Okay, so the next book that I hauled is a very different book, and it's Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. So if you don't know, this is a memoir about someone who spent time in a psychiatric facility, and it just kind of explains what it was like to be in one, and what the other patients were like, and things like that. And I love psychology, and I love memoirs, so putting them both together made me have to get this. And another cool thing about this book is that it was turned into a movie, starring Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie. So I've never watched the movie, because I've never read the book, so now that I have the book, I can read it and then watch the movie. So that's the plan. Girl Interrupted. Okay, so the next book that I hauled is called Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I probably butchered the name, I'm sorry. And this is also a movie, though this one is starring Carey Mulligan, Andrew Garfield, and Keira Knightley. And kind of the same reasoning. I've never read the book, so I had to get the book before I could watch this movie. And with actors like that, I have to watch this movie, right? And basically, from my understanding, it's not like a dystopian, but there is a different society that's described in this book. And it's different from our own, and it's just kind of getting a glimpse of that and following our main characters and what it's like to live in that kind of world. I don't know anything else about it than that, so it just sounded really interesting. I like books about different societies and different worlds and dystopians and things like that, so I'm excited to see what this book is about. And I'm also really excited to see this movie one day. So, Never Let Me Go. Okay, so the next book that I hauled is Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. And I'm noticing a trend, and that this is also now a movie. Yeah, so I'm sure you've heard about this book. I've heard about it through BookTube, and also because it's becoming a movie. It's more or less like Groundhog's Day. She keeps reliving the same day over and over again, though instead of a comedy, it seems a lot more tragic than that. So I'm not sure where this is going, but I do find it really interesting. I highly recommend the trailer. It looks really cool. So I definitely want to read this book and then watch the movie because of that. So, Before I Fall. Okay, so the next book that I hauled is Looking for Alaska by John Green. I've read 3 other John Green books before, and I do find his writing style to be very unique, very different from other authors I've read before. I didn't love Abundance of Catherines. That was my least favorite, actually. But his other ones, The Fault in Our Stars, I definitely like that one. And of course, Paper Towns. I did also enjoy that one. I didn't love them, but I do think that they were good books. And so I'm excited to read more from him, especially this one. I mean, it has a nice shiny medal on it. That's kind of what pulled at me a little bit. I don't read many books, I think, that have medals on it. So I'm assuming that this medal means that this book is better, right? We'll find out. But I'm excited. This is one of his earlier books too, so I'm curious if the writing style is the same or if it's more of a different take before he kind of found his voice as an author, but I'm excited to see what it is about. All I know is that this guy named Miles is obsessed with some girl named Alaska, and this is kind of told like before and then after he meets her, so I'm intrigued to see what happens. Who is Alaska? Why should we care? Why did she leave? What's the relationship? So many questions. I also really like this cover. It's very simple but mysterious. So, looking for Alaska. Okay, so the next book that I hauled is Stay Awake by Dan Chowan. Chowan? This is actually a book of short stories, which I don't normally buy short stories, but I want to get out of that habit, clearly. And this one just really jumped out at me because these are all supposed to be haunting, suspenseful stories about lost, fragile, and searching characters that wander between ordinary life and a psychological shadowland. And if you know me at all, that sounds right up my alley. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's kind of fun to have a book with a lot of different stories in it and kind of pick like what my favorite one is and to really dissect each story to see what it's about and the questions it makes us ask, and I'm just really excited about it. And of course this cover is also very mysterious, so I think it fits the vibe of these stories. If you can't tell, it's a bed and a nightstand and just an empty field with some like trees in the misty distance. So again, mysterious. I'm super excited. Stay awake. Okay, so the next book that I got is the German version of the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them screenplay. Basically, I love German. I'm trying to learn German. I learned German in school growing up, but I was never ever proficient in it. Thanks schooling system. So I've decided to kind of try to learn on my own. So I buy German books. And I figured this would be a good book because it's a screenplay. It's mainly just dialogue. And on top of that, I love the story. I wanted the screenplay. And I've seen the movie, so I should already know the dialogue, so it should be easy to translate. At least in theory. So we'll see how that goes, but I had to get it. It's really cool. And it's got a nice velvety cover on it. So, what is there not to like? Okay, and so the last book that I got so far this year, so far being a key word, is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. Now, I heard about this book because of BookTube. I had never heard of it before then. And there was a lot of really good hype about it. And on top of that, not just is it hype-worthy, but it actually sounds up my alley. Basically, I believe it's a girl. Yeah, a girl named Ashley is found dead, and I didn't want to read any more of the jacket because I didn't want to give away the rest of the book, because sometimes dust jackets do that, and that frustrates me a lot. So anyway, I just know that there's a death, so there's clearly mystery and intrigue, which is all up my alley, as I'm sure you can tell. And on top of that, this book has like web pages and things besides just the normal text. So not only is it a story that's up my alley, but it's written in a unique way, and I like unique different things. So I'm really excited to see if this pans out or not. So, Night Film. Okay, so that was my book haul. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm also curious to see if you've ever heard of any of these books I've hauled so far. Are they good? Should I read them sooner versus later? Let me know. And until next time.